Haku, the laziest, most laid-back individual, is forced to carry a heavy burden, restoring a princess to the throne as the kingdom's rightful leader. With the entire country hunting them down as the enemy, Haku will have to bear responsibility as her protector and supreme commander of her crippled army. He wanted to refuse. He never wanted to carry out this role, but he must, in order to fulfill his friend's dying wish. If you weren't convinced about whether or not to pick up Utawarerumono, this visual novel is what it was all for. Utawarerumono, Mask of Truth, culminates everything throughout its trilogy series to deliver a truly satisfying and rewarding fantasy story.
Note, spoiler warning for the end of Mask of Deception, as the events of Mask of Truth directly happen afterwards. And with that said, let's begin.
For our main character, who has consistently complained for an entire game about how much he wants to live the easy life, saying he inherited a massive duty is a severe understatement. After Haku and his party escape the capital, they flee to Ushtor's hometown, their only safe haven against the traitors who usurped the throne. But not everyone made it out alive. So in order to protect those most dear to the both of them, Haku picked up Ushtor's mask and took his place. The true tragedy of this event, however, is that no one must know that the switch happened. Everyone must believe that it was Haku, not Ushtor, that died that day, including his closest friends. Haku's forced transformation is the most compelling aspect of Mask of Truth. There's a lot of emphasis placed on the weight of responsibilities. Haku quite literally tried everything he could to get out of doing work. We've always seen him attempt to scheme his way to the rich, easy life, only to end up failing spectacularly. Haku was met with both fortune and misfortune every step of the way, and it made for a hilarious, entertaining watch. And yet, no matter what was thrown his way, Haku could always be counted on to get the job done. He's an authentic and likable guy. He was a man that you could trust. But he's nowhere near Ushtor's level of prestige, being the nation's top imperial general, as both a paragon of war combat and a well-beloved public figure. There's no way a guy like Haku could ever hope to fulfill his shoes. It's a really gripping situation, as Haku's forced to uphold Ushtor's image and legacy, a role that's completely opposite to his own personality. The pressure is on him to act like a noble, honorable beacon of hope for his people. Even when he's facing down practically the powerhouse equivalent of a lightning god, he's gotta bear through it. And in order to achieve Anju's wish, he's gonna have to play dirty to achieve victory at any cost necessary. Those conditions are rough already, but I think the worst possible feeling is seeing him having to lie to his closest friends, as they all cope with his assumed death. Because the safety of Anju and those close to him is what's on the line, even if they never realize that it's him protecting them. Haku's not the only person forced into a tough situation. Anju equally faces a similar burden too, and her growth is spectacular. To think that the childish, spoiled brat from Mask of Deception would turn out to be one of my favorite, most badass characters in Mask of Truth. I mean, think about it. Would you place your entire livelihood on a privileged, inexperienced kid? The world building in Utawarerumono has been firmly established to show how Yamato is run and how its leaders act in accordance. But now that their primary leadership has passed, everyone's uncertain about the future and is seeking a solution, lest war breaks out. There's no time for silly games where Anju puts on a hat and calls herself the emperor. Lives are at stake here. Kids should stay at home and act like good children while the adults are talking. The harsh truth is that Anju's not going to be handed the throne on a silver platter. She's gotta earn it. This idea of young children learning to become mature adults on their own is a recurring theme that surrounds Mask of Truth as a whole, and in this intricate fantasy world where the stakes are at its highest, only serves to make our character's growth more impactful. I think Anju made a great first step forward, as the most badass way to lead is by making her hit like a goddamn truck.
帝の後継たる証、腕示してくれよ。これで終わりじゃ。
Amusing enough, in a very fitting situation, Anju is also the most vulnerable one. She's quite literally the glass cannon of the party. Haku and Anju are the leaders, but that doesn't mean they have to fight alone. Their friends are there for them, through and through. Yes, I know the power of friendship, yada yada yada, but when it's done well, it's done really well.
この程度でへこたれてはあやつ笑われてしまう。待たせたのを押しとる。下がるがよい。
One of my biggest criticisms of Mask of Deception is that there was never really a focus on the other party members. Mask of Deception spent its time like a casual slice of life, with everyone hanging out and drinking, and the slow pacing was a direct result of that. However, in Mask of Truth, all of that goes away. Things are serious business now.
Haku and Anju may be the ones that go through the most story development, but everyone in the party has their own mini arcs to shine in the spotlight. Hell, even Urana and Sarana, two individuals that were solely dedicated to bedroom jokes, got moments of genuine development. And if anyone in the party doubts their own abilities or reasons, everyone is there to help support them. You can really feel the emotional weight and impact from these scenes, and the soundtrack elevates them into heartfelt, moving experiences. Full credit goes to Sarara and her amazing voice, making you conditioned to cry every time a vocal song pops up. On another note, I would like to give a special shout out to the best antagonist Utawarerumono has had to date. As much as I thought fighting a giant kaiju that can one-shot your party members is absolutely frightening, a brilliant tactician is even more terrifying. In no way does the power of friendship or being a giant kaiju will serve as effective plot armor. Raiko is always multiple steps ahead, and just when you think Haku's gone on the break, Raiko's got something up his sleeves. But I think the most underrated quality to Raiko is that, thematically speaking, he's got a legitimate motivation for his actions. He's a really good antagonist, compared to the other one we meet. Mask of Truth would have been perfect if its third act villain wasn't there. It pales in comparison to Raiko on so many levels. In some ways, his existence does align with the story's themes. However, the villain's introduction is poorly foreshadowed and unnecessarily extends the game's length. Story-wise, it's debatable. Gameplay-wise, oh, I had some problems with that. The gameplay is the same as the previous one. You start back at level 1, but if you played through Mask of Deception, your items can carry over. For some reason, Mask of Truth includes a new training mode, one that teaches you how each character works and the specific skills they have. It's really helpful and would have been nice to know in the prior games, not the last one in the trilogy. Note, I was still playing on hard difficulty, and just like Mask of Deception, it was a fair fight. My biggest problems were the maps that were entirely committed on being the biggest pain in the ass. I spent 40 minutes chasing an absolute clown of a boss around a burning building, and the only thing worse than a full health bar was a hidden second one. To summarize, Utawarerumono is a grand, epic fantasy JRPG with lots of heart at the core of its story. One that shows the burden of leadership and responsibility, the inner strength to protect what matters most, and the ultimate power of friends and family. Utawarerumono spends a long, arduous time through its initial games, both in Prelude to the Fallen and Mask of Deception, but it's well worth it to create such a fantastic payoff, even more so if you've loved seeing these cast of characters. We've watched them all throughout their journey, and Mask of Truth fully delivers, seeing them grow up into respectable individuals worthy of their noble roles. A fantastic conclusion to a wonderful visual novel series that deserves its high ratings. Utawarerumono Mask of Truth gets a 5 out of 5 with a seal of recommendation. Now, if you're curious about my own first reactions with the visual novel, check out my Utawarerumono Experience series, all 120 hours spanning 3 games in a matter of 12 or so hours. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.